All right, we'd like to continue adding the big couch. We're going to have Ksenya join us.
So can I ask?
And first we need to introduce Ksenya. Ksenya also was on the World Crypto Network a few years ago. And
there have been some casualties, so I left, and then now I'm back. While I'm looking at the laptop, now I'm back on World Crypto Network.
Because it's right here, and it's hard to not look
and it's showing me charts.
And just make sure to talk right into the microphone so the audience can hear you.
There are some charts on the laptop showing me, like, I don't know, some crazy numbers. So I actually had a question about. I had a question about, you mentioned about building bridges, right? So there are two things. One is Zcash team was involved with Ethereum and Metropolis to introduce some ZK snarks. And then another thing, I remember there were a bunch of variations of Zcash, and everyone thought it's some kind of enemies or whatever. They wanted to remove the founder's fee and stuff like that. But then I was under the impression that the core Zcash team is pretty much friendly with all this folk. Can you talk more about all these variations, how many of them are, and what do they do?
Yeah, so with the Ethereum Metropolis thing, we collaborated with some of their researchers on, figuring out how to best integrate ZK snarks into Ethereum. With that, just to get it out of the way, everyone asks, like, what's the point of Zcash once Ethereum adds ZK snarks? But Zcash is very focused on this zero-knowledge proof stuff and improving it. And the idea is that we're probably always going to be kind of one step ahead, where Ethereum is very generally, they're focused on everything. So they're a world computer and all that. And Zcash is a payment system. So we're not trying to be Ethereum, and Ethereum's just trying to add more privacy to their software. So with the Zcash forks, yes, there's I don't even know how many there are at this point.
Well, I know of one called Z Classic.
Yeah, Z Classic was the first one.
My friend Rhett started out and basically just took the founder's reward out.
Yeah.
And the funniest part about that is that pretty soon after they wanted to fork Z Classic to a new project called Zen, where they would put the founder's reward back in, but give the money to someone else.
Exactly.
Hilarious story.
Yeah, so Z Classic was a fork, no founder's reward, and then they were like, wait, how are we going to pay developers to maintain this?
Oh, Rhett just started it. He just likes doing that stuff. He's fun.
So, yeah, but, it's cool. Actually, there was some... I forget what exactly happened. Oh, there was some vulnerability in the code, or in creating a transaction that caused some nodes to crash when they got the transaction in their mempool. So we eventually disclosed this, obviously, but there was a period of time where we were investigating it privately and weren't trying to reveal that there's this vulnerability, and we collaborated with the Z Classic people because they were the ones that experienced all the nodes crashing, and so yeah, there's and relatedly, all of the Zcash forks and whatnot all use the same same parameters that we generated. So they didn't have their own ceremony or anything. They're using the ones that we did.
That's so unfortunate. The ceremony is my favorite part. But that does remind me of what happened in Paris at the Breaking Bitcoin conference. My friend JJ gave a speech, and he wasn't supposed to reveal his vulnerability, but he did. And JJ's vulnerability was able to crash Bitcoin nodes by overloading the RAM in the node, causing the node to go offline. It had been fixed in maybe 3 of the 4 implementations, but none of the implementations had been released. And that's only when JJ had spoken and given it out that they realized that might apply to other coins that had copied Bitcoin. Yep. So much like Z Classic helping Zcash, JJ's exploit could hurt many coins. But it's so hard to think when there's so many butterflies around, right?
Yeah. So there is about I don't know, thousands of different coins out there, and I mean there are at least only maybe 5 or 6 that, including the forks of Zcash, which have research focused on privacy and security and integrity of financial transactions, right? So I was thinking, so your view people forking Zcash is pretty much positive. As many there will be experiments to actually bring privacy and security to the users, the better it is, right?
I mean, as long as they're not trying to trick people and tell people, like, make people think that, like, the Zcash development team are behind their fork, then why not? I mean, I think it's fine. There's actually a bunch of people that work on third-party softwares that make get support from all of these different forks. Like, there's a lot of open source wallets and stuff for Zcash that work for all of the forks, and they get funded from the various communities. So I think it's only a good thing as long as they're not trying to trick people.
I have another question.
We also have a joke from the audience. Joe says that his vulnerability is puppies. Thanks, Joe.
That's a terrible vulnerability, absolutely terrible. It's my vulnerability as well, puppies and kittens. So what was my question? Yeah, I always ask all the cool crypto crowds and teams what actually your needs, what needs of Zcash team is now. Is it skills, some particular skills you're looking for developers hiring, or what the needs of the project?
Yeah, I think we are in this flurry of hiring, and I think right now we're focused on more developers just so we can move along quicker.
Developers. Yeah.
So if you're interested in applying, I think it's just jobs@z.cash, and send a resume and why you want to be a Zcash developer. But yeah.
So Paige, you used to live in San Francisco, but now you've left. Can you tell us where you've moved and why, and if you like it now?
I live in the free state of New Hampshire. Oh yeah, that's very true. Yes. So New Hampshire is known as the Free State because there's this project called the Free State Project where the goal was to get 20,000 people to commit to moving to New Hampshire and sort of take over, the communities and the politics and all of that.
So they would become statists. The Free Staters are called statists. Okay.
Well, you could go both ways, but I think there's benefits to some of those individuals, taking office. For example, there are a few state representatives that have done a lot of great work to promote cryptocurrency freedom in New Hampshire. So New Hampshire is one of the freest states to use cryptocurrency. If you're a business or an individual, you don't need licenses or anything like that. Mm-hmm. You're all exempt from that. Yeah, so it is what it is. But the project did receive the 20,000th signature. I think it was early last year or the year before. And that basically triggers the move. So everyone is supposed to move within 4 or 5 years to New Hampshire. We'll see if that actually happens, I'm sure. Some people won't move, and they just
should
kind of
have
sign
tied
their
their
name,
Bitcoin keys to that. You can't spend any more Bitcoins if you don't move to New Hampshire.
Yeah, well, this project started before Bitcoin, so you wouldn't have been able to do that.
Too early.
It's a really great community, and Derek was just here, but I don't know where he went.
Wandered off. We could have brought him in. It would
Shout
have been the perfect
out to
segue.
Free State Bitcoin Shop.
Yeah.
I actually just went there last week and spent a bunch of Bitcoin and Zcash, actually just Zcash at the Bitcoin shop. But yeah, they have a big cryptocurrency only store in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, where they sell various knickknacks, shirts, Bitcoin themed things. They have a Bitcoin ATM, and they sell stuff, but they're more there to help educate people, and people wander in from the street curious. And
do they have a Bitcoin ATM?
Yeah.
Oh, very good.
They have
So
the
you can
same one
buy-
that's here. I forget the brand.
Oh, the glowing neon circle one.
Yeah, the one out front.
Yeah, very nice. Huge screen. The screens on Bitcoin ATMs keep getting bigger and bigger. It's really amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's a cool store. So if you're ever in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, I highly recommend checking that place out. And they've also gotten a lot of stores in the area to accept Bitcoin and various cryptocurrencies.
Very cool. And then, Ksenia, you live in Berlin, right? That's
Yes,
very much a hot spot for encryption and other computer technologies. You found that to be
I
true?
have more questions about Zcash. Should I shut up? I have a lot of questions.
You can tell us a little bit about
Okay,
Berlin,
I
then
have
give
to
us
tell
another
you
question,
a little bit
because you don't want to
about
grill Paige too much, you know. She might not come back on the show tomorrow if you treat her mean today.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, but it's
Now
not
we're
good.
at the conference. Now we're at the conference. We don't have to troll each other on Twitter. It's more. You know, that's
Okay,
the whole
I'll
point, right?
just
We can
troll
troll
her
each
on
other in
Twitter.
person,
That's the
yeah.
whole point, that we can talk now.
We all come here to troll each other in real life. Welcome to the HCPP 17. Yeah, Berlin. Berlin has Room 77. That this is like a mecca of
he's here.
Bitcoin. Jorg is here. Yeah, we should definitely get Jorg. I think on World Crypto Network. I'm sure he probably already been there. He's like father of all the Bitcoiners. Like adoptive father of all the Bitcoiners and to-be Bitcoiners who come to Berlin, and he takes care of everyone. And one of my favorite things about Bitcoin Stammtisch every first Thursday of the month. So if you're coming to Berlin, make sure you come on the first Thursday of any month and drop by Room 77, because that's where people gather. And in the beginning, it was more a lot of talking about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency and whatever. And now there's just socializing. I mean, people still talk about Bitcoin, but I mean, they talk about life as well. And
And at the end of every speech, they plug their ICO.
sometimes, but it's also acceptable. Where was I? Yes, so my favorite part of this Stammtisch is when everyone is already tired and drunk, and then Jorg starts buying shots, and then everyone cheers to the freedom of transaction. And I remember once I brought a guy who like doesn't have bank accounts. He runs his own gift economy blah with his friends. He's a currency designer, and we're coming from some other conference where we also grabbed some banker. So we come to the Room 77, and there is this currency designer guy who worked with LED systems like 20 years ago, community currencies, all this stuff. And we have this banker, like a normal banker who just wants to get everyone in debt, right? So I'm sitting drinking with them. I was trying to make them pay me cash so I can pay their bill with Bitcoin so I get some cash. That's what I usually do. But long story short, I order shots for everyone, and I just make them cheer and say this thing: we're drinking to the freedom of transaction. And the weird thing is that both guys, the banker and the currency designer, they sort of connected over this strange thing we do at Room 77. Even though they probably interpreted it in a different way, right? But I really liked the vibe and the glow in their eyes when they were drinking the shots, yeah. So what else to say about Berlin? I don't know, really.
It's amazing. Everyone was nice to me when I was there. It was only a couple of days, but I had a good time in Berlin.
Yeah, there is another very good place in Berlin which sells probably the best ice cream in Berlin, and it's obviously sold for Bitcoin or Ether. It's called Oak and Ice. Some meetups there as well. The next one I'm co-organizing going to be on the 24th of October with some free ice cream there. So yeah, there are really good places to go in Berlin to spend your cryptocurrency and connect to good crowds.